putting on lipstick today, especially this color lipstick. Anyways, why does it help knowing that we're gonna talk about Harry Potter? And might I be a Slytherin? So dumb. So if you paid any attention to any of my previous videos, you know that I always read Harry Potter during Christmas. So since I just read them all, I thought I should do a video about it. But don't worry, because I'm not just gonna start rambling about it non-stop. I thought I might just look online for a tag or a quiz or something. And I didn't find anything really interesting, to be honest, but I did find an article on BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed. And we all know we can rely on BuzzFeed for some good content. We're still gonna have a blast. 23 Harry Potter opinions that are so unpopular they shall not be named. Well, let's name them.
Scared Potter.
You wish.
So let's just jump right into it with the first. Neville should have been the chosen one. Neville is better than Harry. Neville is more caring, courageous and dependable. Harry did a lot of the legwork because he was labeled the chosen one, but Neville was the one who destroyed the final Horcrux in the end, allowing Voldemort to be killed. Well, I love Neville. He is very caring, but let's be honest, he became courageous and dependable throughout the books, throughout the years. I think I would have quite liked a different ending. I don't think Neville should have been the chosen one from the beginning. It should have been interesting maybe to realize that it was the chosen one at the end. I feel like everything should have been pretty much the same up until that point, but then it would have been far more interesting and far more, I want to say appropriate, I'm not sure that's the right word, for Harry to actually die when he killed the part of Voldemort in him, and then have Neville kill the snake and Voldemort, and then turn out he was the chosen one. I feel like a few years back this would have been very unpopular, with me at least. But the more you grow, the more you maybe reread it, and the more you start to understand it and see it from different points of view. I don't know. Number 2, Fred and George are overrated. Bitch, what? Nah. Nah. You can say the Marauders were overrated, I would give you that, but Fred and George, nah. They were smart, they were funny, they were not bullies, you know, joking around and tricking other people, but in a fun way, in a way that was never crossing a line. So do not come for them. I never cared for Fred and George. I know fans loved them for their jokes, tricks and wittiness, and they were devastated when Fred died, but I just didn't have any attachment to them. Because probably you're a cold stone bitch. I'm kidding, of course. I'm sure you're a very sweet person. Number 3, Hermione should have ended up with Viktor Krum. Yes, it is very unpopular because it makes no sense. I get that you might have liked Viktor, but it made sense in the 4th book because they were growing up and they were starting to see each other with different eyes, and for the whole Hermione and Ron relationship. But as a couple, I get it if you would prefer her not to have gotten with either Harry or Ron, but her and Viktor Krum? 4. Ooh, here comes the bomb. It's not a very unpopular opinion because I think half of the fandom stands by this. Hermione should have ended up with Malfoy. Let me put down my phone. I don't want to waste any time on this, but let me just tell you that no. If you live for an enemies to lovers story, enemies to lovers is one thing. What Hermione and Draco have,
Draco Malfoy.
I don't really have because I don't have anything. What happens between them, that is not enemy to lovers. The things he says, the things he does throughout the whole book, it would be more toxic of a relationship than the one Bella and Edward had. And that says a lot. I think Malfoy and Hermione fought so much because of all the sexual tension between them. No. They fought so much because he was a son of a bitch. A pure-blooded son of a bitch. Can I say pure-blooded like racist, fascist, but pure-blooded? I'm just gonna move over. Harry and Ginny should have named their child something else. I agree with this. I actually agree with this. Maybe Albus I get. Not as a first name, as a second name. I can stand by Albus. But Severus, even though he is my favorite character in the books, he is a piece of shit. Why name your fucking kid after such a person? He was so abusive to Harry, like a bully, but a 40-something-year-old bully to a 11-year-old child. I think as a character he is so well thought and so well written, even though he is a bad person, but he's still a good character. There's a difference there. Moving on. The Half-Blood Prince is the worst in the series. Specifically, the main plot about Harry trying to procure Slughorn's full memory from Tom Riddle's Horcrux questions. I actually really like the Half-Blood Prince, really like it. I understand and I maybe agree taking the memories from Slughorn was kind of dull and took longer than it should have, but I really like the sixth book for all the character development that there is in there. The soul defined of relationships between Harry, Ron and Hermione especially. And also, let's be honest, the end, just I cried like a bitch. I still cry like a bitch. Like, I can think about it and the funeral and fucking tears all come to my eyes. So do not come for the prince. 7. And there's 23 of them. Let's be quicker. Hufflepuff is the best house. Yes. Yes. Hand down, yes. Yes. And yes, I am a Slytherin. That's who I am as a person. And I still think Hufflepuff is the best house. And let me tell you why. I'm gonna try and look for it super quickly. I knew exactly where to go and look for it. That is scary. Why? I was there and so can tell the whole sad story tale. Said Slytherin, will teach just those whose ancestry is purest. Said Ravenclaw, will teach those whose intelligence is surest. Said Gryffindor, will teach all those with brave deeds to their name. Said Hufflepuff, I'll teach the lot and treat them just the same. Moving on. Gryffindor and Slytherin aren't at all different. No, they're not. They're really not. It says here they're two sides of the same coin, and I agree. There's not much to add to it. They just are. Luna Lovegood is the best character. That's very subjective. I love her. I think she's a great character. She's a great human being. We could say she is the best human being of the whole lot. But yeah, I think that's what she meant, and I think I agree. She is the best of all the students. Draco Malfoy deserved better.
Draco Malfoy.
Yes, he did. Malfoy deserved a redemption arc far more than Snape did. Yes, he was a bit of a douche, but that was because he was influenced by his parents who were terrible. He was forced into joining Voldemort's side and becoming a Death Eater. The only reason Harry and Malfoy hated each other was because of their initial meeting in the Sorcerer's Stone. It's the Philosopher's Stone, you ignorant bitch. I'm just kidding, of course, I'm just kidding. Had that not occurred, I believe they could have been pretty good friends. I'm not sure about the pretty good friends. I don't think they could have been good friends because even if they hadn't been introduced that way, because he was so influenced by his family and his own house and all the people surrounding him, he would have still found a way to hate on Harry. But I agree, he did deserve better. He deserved at least a more introspective redemption arc. I love his journey. I love that he's a douchebag. I love that he's so mean. He says all of those things, all of those like pure-blooded things because of the influences in his family, because he have heard them his whole life. Kids are not born racist, they are made. That is the point, and he is like the perfect example of it, and I love that. We need that person in the story in Harry Potter. We need that figure and we need to explain it to kids. It's a brilliant character and I love him. I wish at the end they would have given him some more story time, some more like space to show himself and his feeling and his redemption. Just showing him at the platform, that does not do it. Albus Dumbledore wasn't all that great. Dumbledore was a manipulative asshole. He didn't care about anyone but himself. He used Harry. No, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go on reading. I think that is wrong. He was manipulative, yes, but he was not selfish. You can say that he didn't care for anyone but himself, because literally everything that he did was to defeat Voldemort. Yes, he did manipulate Harry and so many other people, and part of him, yes, probably did do it for his conscience, but still, we don't have enough time to talk about Dumbledore. There should be like a whole essay, a whole video about it. What I will say though is that yes, he was manipulative, not because he didn't care about anyone but himself, but because he thought he was the only one who knew how to. And that's just true. There's no point, trying to deny it or find ways around it. He was the most brilliant, the most intelligent wizard alive. And if he didn't tell Harry everything, there was a reason. There was a reason he didn't tell him about the Deathly Hallows, because he knew if he had told him, he would have gone straight looking for them, forgetting about the Horcruxes. And the story shows you that he was right. He didn't tell him he had to die because he was so complicated that only he understood and knew what had to be done, and he was the only one willing to do it, to sacrifice himself and yes, other people for the greater good. I'm sorry, but that is just what it is. He did it to save the whole fucking humanity. Fight me. 12. Severus Snape also wasn't all that great. I think I've already talked about this. He wasn't great. That does not mean he wasn't one of the best characters in there. He was a bad person, yes. He was raised in a very bad family, surrounded by very bad people in Slytherin. All of his friends became Death Eater. That's all he knew. Lily was the only one who could have some power over him and change him, but then he was bullied. Why would you want better for Draco
Malfoy,
but not Snape when they are the same person? That's all I have to say. Actually, Harry ain't all that either. It wasn't. He was selfish and he wouldn't listen to anyone, and he kept getting things wrong and messing up for himself and other people. And yes, if he had listened to Hermione at least half of the time she spoke, maybe, you know, not so many things would have happened. Still, is a good character. I think he's relatable. He's not just this pure heroic figure. 14. Harry didn't know how to take care of pets. Harry was an awful pet owner. He kept Hedwig locked up, yelled at her all the time, tossed her around. Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. I think that's bullshit. Harry loved Hedwig. He was truly his first friend and sometimes his only friend. Like, you know, in the summer stuck at the Dursleys. And yes, he did lock him up sometimes, but because the Dursleys said that if he didn't, they would have just, you know, locked him inside the cupboard. So at least there he was in a room with Harry near a window. Moving on. The first 4 movies didn't do the books justice. What? Bitch, no. The first 4 movies, the only ones who somehow do justice to the books. David Yates, please do go fuck yourself. Especially Prisoner of Azkaban. What are you talking about? That is the best movie. That is the best movie. Warren, I love you. I wish he would have directed all of the other movies. They barely mentioned Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot and Prongs. Oh shit, Sherlock! Of course you can mention everything in a movie. That's why the book is always better than the freaking movie. Sorry, like, Harry Potter brings the worst out of me. I'm just kidding. He brings the best out of me. I'm just kidding. Harry deserved his attentions in Order of the Phoenix, but not the abusive punishment. While Umbridge was a despicable human, well, I don't know if I would use despicable. I feel like Umbridge is second only to Bellatrix. Can I say an unpopular opinion now? I think Umbridge truly was worse than Voldemort. Because, and hear me out, Voldemort wasn't hiding. He made everything pretty clear. There was no way mistaking his ideals and his plans and, you know, all that. But Dolores Umbridge, those kind of people for me are worst. The ones who pretend to be all good and all friendly and all in your face and all lovely, but really being so rotten inside and so mean to actually rejoice from other people's suffering. I think those are the worst people. Even Voldemort said, give me Harry and I'll fucking leave you and all the kids alone. Like, even he valued kids more than Dolores Umbridge. So anyways, he mouthed off in class, even after being warned time and time again by teachers and friends. Yeah, that's true. Everyone warned him. Even McGranit said, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Stop. And he still went on. So it kind of, you know, deserved it. I'm looking for it, but not really because of the whole Umbridge thing. 17. We're almost there. Harry and Ginny's relationship wasn't believable. We never got any romantic tension between Harry and Ginny. Well, in the movie you didn't. If you had read the books, this one doesn't even deserve a reply. Let's just move on. Harry and Dumbledore's bond wasn't what people thought it was. No, it wasn't. No one knew what their bond was. Even Harry didn't know. It was like they were trying to create the bond that Frodo and Gandalf had, but maybe the movies did try to do that, but the books, I do not think so. Like what you said, Frodo and Gandalf, and even Bilbo and Gandalf had, is not at all what Harry and Dumbledore had. Hagrid did more for Harry than Sirius Black. Yes, he did. Sirius got all of the credit for being Harry's only parental figure, when really it was Hagrid who was the only consistent parental figure in his life. Yes, I think that's true. I think Hagrid deserves more recognition. I think he's so underrated as a character. He's so good and he's an amazing human being. I love him, really. I also love Sirius as a character, and I feel like I'm saying this for every fucking character. Is there any character I don't love? I think Sirius had a lot of issues. He had a lot of grief inside of him. He had a lot of regret, and he also had a lot of anger. It was just like projecting all of his feelings and all of his fears, everything, onto Harry. Like when in the 5th, Molly kept on saying to stop treating Harry as if he were James. Because Sirius was so anchored to the past, so much happened to that poor guy that it made sense. He was fucked up, yes he was not a good parental figure, but he still loved Harry very much and would have done anything for him. Harry should not have lived past the final bell. I already said that. I called for it. This is my unpopular opinion. My... what are they called? Artistic property?
You uncultured swine!
It would have made a better ending, like a perfect ending, a more perfect ending to an epic series. It would have just been 21. Voldemort actually had the saddest backstory. No, he didn't. Bitch, no. Yes, it was a pretty sad backstory. It was terrible. He was made an orphan when his own mother decided she would rather die than stay with him and raise him because the man she loved actually didn't love her back, which is fucked up, yes. But to say that is the saddest, you cannot say, like, objectively, that what Harry had to go through was better than what Voldemort had to go through. Both of his parents were murdered. He had to be raised by two people who hated him and abused him for 11 years of his life. And still, every fucking summer he went there. Yes, Voldemort also was an orphan and he was raised in an orphanage, but no one was abusing him. He was the abuser there. And I know they're not trying to justify him or say that he deserves some kind of redemption or whatever, but like, objectively, it's not the saddest backstory, and that's just a fact. The finale of the series was anticlimactic. In the movies, yes, it was, like, the battle scene was hideous. It was anticlimactic that Harry survived and then everything went right. And there was no plot twist. I do not think that's what they meant, especially because they go on saying the final face-off with Voldemort was both over the top with all the flying, that never happens in the book, as well as underwhelming with Voldy. Who is he? Your uncle? Voldy? How dare you? Turning it into grey cornflakes and blowing away. Yeah, the movie sucked. I was right. They were talking about the movies. The movie sucked. And breaking the last book into 2 films was nothing but a cash grab. Now shit, Sherlock. I kind of miss it though. Was it like a 5-year gap where all of the books, all of the sagas and trilogies were made into movies and all the last books were divided into 2? I kind of miss it. But yeah, it was a cash grab. 23 and last one. I don't even feel like reading this out loud. How could you? How could you? Who the fuck is this? Beckers? Betchers? Whoever you are? What the heck? This is no unpopular opinion. This is just like a straight up lie.
You deserve to be punished.
I know they removed things that were in the books, changed some plots, blah blah blah. Well, blah blah blah. You can even argument your unpopular opinion. But when you take the books on their own and the movies on their own, the movies are just better. What? In what world are you living? In what parallel universe do you exist? I hate you. I'm just kidding, of course. I only hate you if you do really think that the movies are better than the books. In that case, yes, I do hate you. I stand by it. You have broken me. I swear to God, I am bugging. How can you say that? I am done.